Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 36 of What If Naruto Learned the Clone Secret in the Beginning. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto was trained by all the greats over on Anime King, and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, as Darui was facing off against Kotetsu and Izumo, as he shot a beam of lightning that destroyed the air, forced them to jump away. Yujito then came to actually slice right into Izumo, wasting no time as Darui took care of Kotetsu. As he asked her if she's okay with all of this. She is acting a bit different, but she didn't give a non-Yujito response. But she said orders are orders as she walked off with a tear came out of her eye. But she didn't even seem to notice that. Back at Konoha, they got the news. Kumo was trying to invade their borders, as Naruto could see how lacking they have in information. Seeing that Jiraiya was now gone, they didn't know most things, but Snatty had gathered up their troops and talked to Kire and the San. Kumo was invading along with the Hidden Stone as well. They had a large number, 3,000 strong, coming towards their borders, as Kakashi was first in command as Naruto was his second in charge. Naruto noticed that one of the guys were acting strange as he sent a clone to watch the man, as he got the report from the clone. As the man was a spy, as they got his body and brought it towards the department where Inouchi could find something on him. As Natty was beginning to fear the worst if he was here. Then how much more are there? As Naruto and the group headed off. It took some time but they arrived as Kakashi left Naruto in charge as he waited to go to the other city to meet up with the Kira ninjas. As Akane was there as well. It was then that they got attacked. The group started to attack them from Kumo, as Naruto and Akane went over there as they quickly dealt with them. Darui stood no chance against Naruto. Yujito then arrived as Naruto saw her. She told him that if he doesn't stop now and allow them to leave, Killer Bee is here and he will run right through their camp and kill all of them. As Naruto could not afford for his friends to get injured because AT will completely crush his camp. So he allowed them to leave, but Akane managed to capture Team Samui as they got them back and started to interrogate them. Not even they know anything, but it was already given to them, and they couldn't betray their leader's orders. Time passed as Naruto knew that the group was coming, as they waited for them and set a trap as the battle started. The Konoha ninjas quickly prevailing over them. Yujito attacked Naruto. As Akane took on Darui, he stood absolutely no chance as she disassembled him and knocked him away. Yujito was moving as fast as possible as she was pulling on the Nibi's power. Naruto decided to transform, stop holding back so much, as he smashed her into the ground with so much force and break. He then reared back his fist and smashed it into her, knocking her out with one punch, showing how much stronger than her he is. As Akane then came, as she said that Yujito is under genjutsu, she knew how to remove it, as Naruto told her to do it, as she placed her hand on Akane. So yeah guys, was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across to the place and check out for yourself. So this will begin this new episode. Akane glanced on the dark space as she found herself in. The last thing she did was place her hand on Yujito's forehead. Taking a step, she was stepping on dry leaf and dead soil, as she was in an era with numerous dead plants and flowers. Massive hills that were all dried up, the plants, all of them dead. Given that she had no idea where to go, she started to wonder. Using her feelings and her senses to guide her, she traveled over hills, passed by dried up trees, and came upon a riverbed, but there was no water inside. She eventually found a person. They were crouched on the ground, as they were right beside a dead tree. Even from far away, Akane could see how this girl's shoulders shook. "Excuse me, little one," Akane said. The girl head snapped up hearing the voice. Cat-like eyes stared at her, wide in fear. The girl leapt to her feet and rushed off towards a forest of dead trees. Akane sighed as she watched the girl take off. Great. Now she had to chase her. Wandering through the forest, everything was dead and dried up. It wasn't very hard to find the girl. Akane found her behind a tree huddled down, covering her face with her hands, like that would keep her from being seen. "I am not here to hurt you, said Akane. The girl squeaked as she got up, but Akane flashed in front of her, as she had her trapped now. There was no way to escape. This girl had blonde hair like Yujito, and the same cat-like eyes, but her body was immature. At a guess, she would have said that she was about 12 or 11 years old. "Is her name Yujito?" Akane asked. Yujito slightly nodded. "I see, that's good, I'm here to help you." As Yujito tilted her head like she didn't understand, as Akane frowned. "Looks like you're only a small piece of Yujito, perhaps her youth, or maybe her memory from a long time ago. I wonder where the rest of you is." As if her words had jolted, as Yujito stood to her feet and grabbed onto Akane's arm, and tugged it. "Are you telling me you know the rest of you are?" As Yujito nodded, as she led her. This was inside the seal. Akane found out, but thanks to the genjutsu affecting Yujito and Nibe, the place became like this. Without Nibe and Yujito to maintain the seal together, this place is falling apart. It could also show her mental state as well. The young Yujito looked confused. She was definitely the immature side of Yujito, the one who never grew up. As Akane doubted this child understood what she was talking about. It didn't take long before they reached a mouth of a large cage. As Akane, just by glancing, could tell that this was bad news. The cave was dark and there was also an ominous presence hanging in the air. "Yujito is near?" The young Yujito nodded. Left with little choice but travel inside, the both of them went inside. As they started to wander through it, they were traveling down because the cave was going down. As Akane wondered where they found Yujito and Nibe at the end of it. As they reached the end of the tunnel, a massive, spread out cavern was in front of them. There were several crystals that were glowing. In the center of the cave was Yujito and Nibe. They looked like they have seen better days. Yujito was suspended in the air by chains, wrapped around her in a psychotic idea of bondage. Her arms, her chest, going down. As they suspended her in the air, her eyes were open but they looked dim. Nibe was even in worse shape. Her fur has grown bristly and tough. Bright yellow eyes glared at everything as she hissed. A feral sound that caused young Yujito to hide behind Akane. The giant tool-tailed cat guard around Yujito like a guard dog. "I see," said Akane. The genjutsu has locked away Yujito's mind, which made Nibe revert back to her normal behavior before she was sealed. What to do? I suppose we'll have to defeat her before removing the genjutsu. You stay here, okay? While I rescue those two, she told young Yujito. As she put her to the side and stepped fully into the cave, alerting Nibe. The cat hissed at her. "Do you really think you can defeat me?" asked Akane. "If that's the case, then come and show me what you can do." The Nibe leapt towards her. She raised her hand and chanted her chakra. Power crackled in her hands as a small red orb appeared. It didn't look like much, but she tossed at Nibe, striking the cat right in the face. The orb exploded with enough power to throw the cat backwards. Even Akane skidded back because of the force of the detonation. Nibe landed on the ground and a loud crash, but it didn't stay down for long. It stood up and opened its mouth as it started to build a Bichu bomb. "No you don't." Mimicking what she saw Naruto done tons of times, she channeled chakra into her feet and burst forward. It was almost like she teleported. As she punched the cat with a powerful uppercut, causing her jaw to snap shut. As Akane shot her tails forward and wrapped up in Nibe. Even after she retracted them, there was a binding around Nibe, and she could not move. There will be no escaping from that. Well, at least for a little while. Now then, she walked up to Yujito. As she studied her, she waved a hand in front of her face, but she got nothing at all. Not even poking her gave her a response. She reached forward and cuffed her left breast and squeezed it 2 times. But nothing. "This genjutsu is extremely powerful," she said. "It reminded me of the genjutsu that was used to make me attack Konoha. Does that mean the person who cast it was the same one who got me?" Akane didn't know and she couldn't remember how the genjutsu that forced her to attack Konoha worked, so she had no real evidence. Something tugged at her sleeve as she glanced on the young Yujito. Yes, do not worry. I will break the genjutsu now." As she grabbed the chains, a burst of destructive chakra exploded from her palms. The chains became a burning red before they were shattered. Yujito fell forward right in Akane's bosom. As Akane looked down and just held her. "I believe it's time I left this place," she said, as she placed Yujito on the ground, as her body started to fade. As little girl waved goodbye to her. "Thank you, miss," little girl said, as Akane smiled and waved to her as she vanished. Time skip. The command tent has never been this crowded before. As Naruto removed the table so they all could stand there. With him was Kojiro and Zabuza from Kira. As Kakashi, Akane was there with Darui, who was currently bound in chains. What's going to happen now, said Darui. My ninja and I have surrendered. Do you plan to keep us as ninja of war or killing us? I personally vote for killing you, said Zabuza. Well, we don't plan on killing you and your ninja right now, said Kakashi. Naruto here believes that someone manipulated you guys to attack Konoha. Manipulating us, said Naruto with a frown. That is not impossible. You think someone can be manipulating the Raikage? Naruto asked. Darui sighed, but he nodded. Something seemed awful with the Raikage when he told us we were going to war with Konoha. While there was no outward change in the way Lord A acted. But I know how much the alliance meant to him. That genjutsu on Yujito is also strong. Reason to believe that someone is pushing behind the scenes, said Akane. It was very similar to the one that was cast on me and made me attack Konoha. At these words, everyone turned to look at her. She was still refusing to wear shoes. Her tails and ears were still hidden under genjutsu as usual. Who are you again? Asked Zabuza. Someone who has a lot more power and experience than you, said Akane. Sounds like you picked up a rather troublesome woman, brat, said Zabuza. Well, I like my woman troublesome, he said. I bet, said Zabuza. The only concern I have, I can't figure out who would manipulate Lord A like this, said Darui. Getting their conversation back on track, it can't be one of our ninjas. But if it is, that means our security is incredibly faulty. There's also the fact that Lord A is the strongest shinobi in our village. I can't imagine someone being able to manipulate him. You should, said Zabuza. Our last Mizukage was being controlled by someone in the shadows. Even now, we don't know who, but whoever it was, they were able to cast a powerful genjutsu over Yakura. While we have no clear evidence, we have a strong reason to believe whoever done it was a Uchiha. Was Yakura Jinjutsu? Asked Akane. Zabuza glanced at her, and then nodded. He was. Then a Uchiha could have easily manipulated him if they had the Mangita Sharingan. There was a man long ago named Madara, who was even able to manipulate the Kyuubi, forcing her under his will and making her attack the first Hokage. I would not be surprised if the person who made me attack Konoha was also a Uchiha. As she spoke, she clenched her fist tight, as an intense aura came over her. The others backed away from the red chakra coming over her body. All of them except for Naruto grabbed her hand to calm her down. She took several deep breaths and calmed down. Are you... said Zabuza, but Kakashi cut him off. I don't know if there are any Uchiha left that can manipulate someone like that, except for Itachi. We haven't heard anything about him in a while though. We also haven't been able to find Sasuke. Do you think it's one of them, said Kojiro. The one manipulating Raikage and one who cast genjutsu on Yujito. I don't think it's Sasuke, said Kakashi. He doesn't have the Mangita Sharingan, and to get it, you need to experience a strong loss. The intense, emotional trigger from losing the person you treasure the most is what caused you to unlock the Mangita Sharingan. Given that Sasuke doesn't have anyone that he really treasures, I can't see him unlocking it. That said, Itachi does have the Mangita Sharingan. He might be able to cast a genjutsu strong enough to manipulate the Raikage and Yujito, but Akatsuki has gone silent and we don't know where he is, as everyone grew silent at his words. They didn't have enough information to do what they want. I think right now we should focus on the Raikage and Naruto, as everyone looked at him. What do you mean, said Darui. If the Raikage is really being controlled by genjutsu, then first priority should be breaking it. If we do that, whoever is manipulating him should reveal themselves once they realize their plan had failed. Or they will just go underground, said Zabuza. A person who manipulates others like this isn't one to reveal himself when their plans fail. When our current Mizukage killed Yagura, the one that was manipulating him from the shadows never showed himself. The only reason we know that Yagura was being controlled was because the medical team found foreign chakra around his brain. Yes, this is also a possibility, but we have no way of figuring out who is doing this anyway. If we don't do something, then nothing will change. True, says Zabuza. Then what do you propose, said Kakashi? I propose sneaking into Kumo and confronting the Raikage directly, said Naruto. Everyone looked at Naruto like he was crazy, until Zabuza started to laugh. He held the hand to his gut and laughed so hard, tears appeared in his eyes. You're right, brat. That's the most audacious plan I ever heard. Then again, I'm not that much better. You do realize how dangerous that is, right? Said Kakashi. First of all, how would you even get into Kumo? Second, even if you did sneak into Kumo, you'd still have to find a way to get to the Raikage, who would be surrounded by numerous elite ninjas. Then there's the Raikage himself. I know how powerful you are, Naruto, but the Raikage isn't someone that you can just confront. Those are all valid points, Naruto said. I won't deny any of them. On my own, I'm probably not strong enough to confront the Raikage and all of his ninjas together. That's why I won't be going alone. I'll sneak a team of us inside, and we'll be confronting him together. As Kakashi still looks skeptical. Okay, said Zabuza. Let's say we go along with this idea. How do you plan on sneaking yourself in a squadron inside of Kumo? Sneaking a squadron inside will be easier, Naruto said as he reached into his pouch and pulled out a scroll. This is a summoning scroll. It's very simple to use. We connect this seal into the scroll that I made off the base of summoning jutsu. It would automatically summon who's ever standing summoning seal. And I can summon up to 6 people at any given time. Only a few people in the world can summon. And not to mention, space-time ninjutsu was a very difficult thing. That is why so much people was looking at Naruto with a surprised look on their face. Okay, then tell us. Who's gonna take the scroll in Kumo and summon everyone, said Kakashi. Isn't that obvious, Naruto says. He points towards Darui. He is. Time skip. The details to infiltrate Kumo had been worked out, as it was now late in night. According to Kani, the genjutsu was so powerful, it forced Yujito's mind to shut down, so she was still unconscious. As Akane didn't have an estimate time to when she would wake up, as Naruto was sitting in front of her. Darui had agreed to the plan, as Naruto thought about it, but not everyone trusted him. They were forced to modify the plan just a bit, for the lack of trust. The only real issue here is whether or not the Raikage was being manipulated. Naruto heard a groan, as he slowly looked back up to see Yujito. She stirred just a bit. She opened her eyes, blinking several times, as she tried to focus on something. Finally, you're awake. She turned her head, as she looked at Naruto for a few seconds. What's wrong, Naruto said. Why do you look like you're a few seconds away from crying? As she sniffled, I'm sorry, she said. I'm guessing you're aware of everything that happened while you were under that genjutsu. She nodded. Can you tell me who placed you under it? While I remember what that person looked like, I'm sure it's not their real face. So they were under disguise. Can you at least tell me what happened? I can do that, she said, as she informed of what happened when she was scheduled to return back to Kumo. According to her story, when she returned back to Kumo, she was called to the Raikage's office, where Killer B and A, and another man who she didn't recognize was there. The man looked very plain, but the moment she entered, Killer B and the Raikage pinned her down, and the man cast a genjutsu on her. It forced her to obey every order that the Raikage had given, and it also made me think I have to follow those orders, no matter how wrong I knew they were. Not only that, when the Raikage gave me an order, I didn't even question if it was right or wrong, she said, looking at her hands. That sounded like a pretty powerful genjutsu. Was there anything else about it that you remember? Yes, there was one thing I remember. The person who cast it as though jutsu I'd never seen before. It was red like the Sharingan, but there was a pattern instead of the typical Tomo. It looked like a star pattern with a 3-sided shuriken inside. It was very odd. Naruto wondered if this was a new dojutsu or a variation of Sharingan. Maybe it was a monkey to Sharingan that Kakashi and Akane was talking about. I'll tell Kakashi about it and see what he said Naruto. Okay, she said softly as she looked down. Naruto reached out and flicked her on the forehead. Stop moping, he said. But I don't want to hear it. We finally met again after a long time apart. This is supposed to be the happy reunion where you tell me how much you miss me and I smile. And we kiss and make passionate love. She gave him a smile. You never let yourself get depressed over anything, do you? Wait. As her face turned shocked, did you just say something about passionate love making? I did. It had been my plan for a year now, to seduce you the moment I got home from my training trip. Is that so? She said. She looked down. There was a massive blush on her cheeks now. Do you not want me to? He asked, as he saw her looking away. It isn't that I don't want you to, she said. It's just embarrassed, she said. So, I should seduce you, he said. Well, I wouldn't mind if you did. That's good, said Naruto as he placed a hand on her cheek and turned her face to look at him. Then he kissed her. After a shock wear off, she kissed him back, as he started to kiss her on her neck, as she started to purr like a cat. As things got heated and she has no obligation. Time skip. Yujito was fast asleep. This was her first time. She fell asleep just minutes after, as she was nuzzling against his chest. Oh, I forgot to tell her the mission. I'm going on tomorrow. Well, I'll tell her tomorrow, he said. Time skip, as Naruto was used to the path going towards Kumo, as he was with Darui, Karui, Amoy, and Samui. We're almost home, said Amoy. As Naruto was in chains, well, he has to be. Given the situation, are you sure that being home right now is a good thing, said Samui. Are you guys even sure this plan is going to work? Well, it would have been a bit easier if we'd have just given Darui a summoning scroll and make him summon everyone after entering the village, said Naruto. However, Kakashi and others don't trust you guys enough to do that. We have to modify the plan so it can act as a fail-safe in case you guys decide to betray us. I suppose that may kind of a sense, said Samui. But wouldn't you traveling into enemy territory, the four of us, put you at a disadvantage, he asked. What if we decide just to kill you or take you prisoner for real? Well, you wouldn't be able to, said Naruto, as he motioned towards a seal that was on his wrist, and a seal that was barely visible on her left breast, as he held out his right palm so she could see the pattern on it. I call this Shifuyen no Fuyen. The moment you decide to betray me, the seal will activate and explode with enough power to take this entire mountain out. It will also activate if I die. I thought you said the seal was supposed to help us locate you at all times at Karoo. It does that too, said Naruto. This is just another feature of the seal. And you forgot to mention that part she spat. He didn't, said Darui. I already know what the seal did when I had him put it on us. This seal is the real reason that he's here with us. The seal only have an effective distance about 2 kilometers. After that, I won't be able to activate the seal. And that is why you decided to be our prisoner, said Amoy. Like I said, Kakashi and the others do not trust you. Considering what happened, I do not blame them. This is a fail-safe if you try to betray us. You didn't need to go that far, said Karoo. We know what's at stake here. Naruto shrugged but did not say anything because they reached the gates of Kumo as they moved into a diamond position with him in the center. As Naruto's hands were bound in chains and Darui had the cord attached to them, that made it look like he was being dragged along against his will. Knowing that he had to play his part, he put his fine acting skill at good use as he put a defeated expression on his face. Darui, a man at the gate, said, "What are you doing here? I thought you were leading the army against Konoha." "I was, but I captured a very unique prisoner. I didn't think it was a good idea to keep him in the camp, so I decided to escort him to Kumo myself." The man noticed Naruto at the center as his eyes bulged in shock. "Hey, isn't that?" "Yes," Darui said. "Well, I'll be damned," the Chunin said. "Never thought I'll see the day when you managed to capture our genjutsu. It took a lot of work. We have currently sealed his chakra, but we need to think of a permanent solution soon," said Darui. Right. Okay, you guys can go in." "Come on," said Darui. "Let's get over to the prison." "Are you sure about this, Naruto?" he asked. "Even if I wasn't, it's too late to back out now." "I guess that's true." The prison was located in the same mountain the Raikage office was on, as Naruto ignored the stares that his presence caused, as he was led through the village. About 75 to 80% off. The people in Kumo were ninjas, so almost everyone knew who we were, as he was dragged to his destination. As Naruto was led through a perfect interior, as he was led downstairs, several stairs later, Naruto came to a stop. "So what's the plan?" Since he felt safe to talk, Naruto figured that there was no guards around here. "We will initiate our plan tonight. You still have the summoning scroll, right?" "Of course," said Darui. "Good. I'll take care of the guards before you arrive. All you need to do is show up. You realize this whole plan of yours is crazy, right?" "Sometimes the craziest plans are the most likeliest one to work," said Naruto. While he and Darui spoke, the others looked on the uncertainty, but they didn't say anything as they reached the prison. As they reached the prison, the warden looked up. "Darui, what are you doing here?" said the warden. "We have a prisoner I'd like to keep incarcerated." The warden eyed him before his eyes widened, as he wondered whether one of these people would be too skeptical that Darui could actually capture Jinchuriki and figure out that it was all a trap. But it didn't seem that the warden think that way. "Damn, never thought I'll see the day when this brat become our prisoner. We need to keep him locked up in a special cell made for Jinchuriki." "A special Jinchuriki cell, huh?" Naruto did not know what that is, but judging from the way that Amoy, Kari, and Samui stiffened, they probably knew. They probably sealed the power for Jinchuriki somehow. As Darui looked towards Naruto, who simply nodded, a slight nod. "You got it from here, don't you?" As the warden nodded, as Darui handed the man the cord, who dragged it, making Naruto step forward. As he was brought before a fist embedded right into his guts, as Darui and the others left off, as the warden dragged Naruto along, as he brought him towards a special made cell. Upon being shoved into the room, Naruto glanced at a few seals on the wall. These weren't as complex as the ones that Jiraiya or Experience could do, but they weren't that bad. "You'll be staying here for the foreseeable future. Well, until we figure out what we can do with you." As he slammed the metal door shut, as Naruto heard several locks go off. "Well, that was pleasant," Naruto says. He walked over the wall. "Well, look at the chamber's use to stop a Jinchuriki from crawling up on the Ebichu's power." "Interesting," he said. But this did nothing to Naruto. After all, he was no longer a Jinchuriki, as he started channeling his chakra through his body as it flows smoothly through him. The seals on the chain could not keep his chakra restrained. After all, it was a mixture of his and Akane's chakra. It was not human anymore. As he snapped the chains off that were binding his hands, he then sat down. So all he has to do now is wait till night time, and then he'll go and deal with that warden. Meanwhile, after dropping off the prisoner, as the four-man team went towards the Raikage's office. "So, it's true. You really capture Naruto Uzumaki," said the Raikage. Darui felt uneasy as he looked at the Raikage and his brother Killer B. The Raikage was lifting weights and Killer B wasn't making raps. They also weren't fighting, which happened quite often, as Darui was cursed himself for not realizing it sooner. Yes, he's currently being held prisoner in the Jinchuriki sealing chamber. The Raikage mumbled something to himself that Darui could not hear, but they nodded. "Good work. We don't have any suitable host for the Kyuubi, so we'll have to keep him prisoner for now. We'll work something out later. Good work." "Thank you, Lord Raikage. Now that you drop your prison off, I expect you to return back to tomorrow. Much as I trust Yujito, she's not leader material like you are. We need someone that is capable of leading our force against Konoha. Yes sir, said Darui. He was surprised that the Raikage knew nothing about their army, terrible defeat, but it seems that Naruto made sure none of their ninja report back. Time skip. Naruto slowly opened his eyes, as he could tell that night had fallen on Kumo by now. As Naruto walked over to the door and placed his hand on it, this was no ordinary door, there was a 16-volt lock in this door, as each volt was made from material that absorbed chakra. Even though his chakra was being siphoned from him, as he cut off the flow, he needed to be quiet. The last thing he needed was for the warden to sound the alarm. As he unsealed a toolkit and opened it up, as he pulled out a small drill, as he started gather wind chakra, as he started drill holes in the door. The material was sucking up his chakra, so he had to keep a constant flow just to maintain the wind drill. As he drilled 32 holes, there were bars inside the doors. As he used the kit, the tools inside to unlock each and every one of them. When the last one was cut through, he pushed the door open slightly. The genjutsu seating location was at the bottom of the prison. That meant he had to climb up several set of stairs. The warden was over by the exit/entrance. As he created 3 shell clones, then each clones transformed into spiders that started to crawl along the wall. As he unsealed another item from his hands, as it looked like an egg, a plain white egg from a chicken, but it was not, just an egg. A muffled shout could be heard as Naruto glanced to see that his clones had put the warden into a submission hold. One of them forced into his knees, another pulled his arms behind him as another one held onto his mouth so he couldn't scream. "You knew that punch of yours hurt," said Naruto. "I think I deserve some, well, revenge." The clone moved his hand that was holding onto the warden's mouth as Naruto shoved the egg inside his clone, closed his mouth once again, as he was forced to swallow the egg. As he started to froth from the mouth, starting to shake as the clones released him, as he collapsed on the ground frothing. That was the scene that team Daru came up and saw. "What did you do to him?" he asked. "Well, that was an egg from my pranking days. I guess I still have a few of my pranking tools with me. What I did was give him an egg, but I removed the yolk and replaced it with a mixture of spicy and gaseous chemicals. Let's see, I think this one is a mixture of chili powder, serrano peppers, manure, and sewer water." All of their faces turned a shade of green as he looked towards him. "What?" said Naruto. Nothing," said Darui, as Darui pulled out the scroll and placed it on the ground. As he channeled his chakra through the scroll, a poof of smoke as Akane, Kojo, Kakashi, and Zabuza appeared. "How about that? The scroll thing actually works," said Zabuza. "Of course it works," said Naruto. "I made it. Now that we're here, we should begin the mission," Kakashi said, as he quickly took charge. "We will be splitting off in a group of 3. Group 1 will cause the destruction. Group 2 will confront Killer B. Meanwhile, Group 3 will work on removing the genjutsu placed on the Raikage." There were 9 of them, so they could be divided into groups of 3. It was decided that Naruto, Akane, and Zabuza would deal with the Raikage, as Zabuza said that he wanted to go with the brat, taking Kakashi's place. The group going after Killer B would be Kakashi, Samui, and Darui. All 3 of them were jonin, and therefore the ones most likely to survive a battle against the 8-tailed Jinchuriki. As the group to cause the destruction was Kojo, Karu, and Amoy, as Kakashi gave the order for them to move out. Time skip. Naruto and the others were waiting for the signal to go off when numerous explosions went off in 3 different directions. Loud sirens went off as ninja poured out as they started to investigate. It was far enough from the Raikage's office, so it would take a while for ninjas them to come back there, as that was the plan after all. As they all waited till the last pair of footsteps went off. "Lord Raikage and Killer B are probably in the Raikage's office," said Darui. "So our goal is to split them up to engage them separately," said Naruto. "That's right," said Darui. "Sounds fun," said Akane. They moved through the building swiftly. This place was always filled with people despite something going on right now, so that was a bit strange. Before long, all 6 of them entered the Raikage's office. As Darui said, Killer B and the Raikage was there. The moment they entered, the Raikage expression darkened. "What is the meaning of this, Darui?" Samui, he said, as he stood up. "I hope you have a good explanation for why Kiri and Konoha Ninja are in here with you." "I do. We're here to break you out of the genjutsu that you've been placed under." "What? You think I'm under the influence of a genjutsu?" "You had better be joking." "I am not," said Darui, as the group made a shift in their formation. Letting 4 ninja enter a village and confronting a Raikage was such a crazy claim. "And I bet you're the one behind those explosions as well." "I see what's going on here." As he moved his Herori and let it drop to the ground, revealing his powerful built body. "You two have become traitors." As loyal Kumo ninjas, hearing those words hurt them a bit, but they did not back down. Killer B and A move apart, giving the others room to attack, as Naruto knew all about their combination attack, so if they didn't separate them, they would probably use it. Akane stepped forward, she thrust out her hand. A fist of red chakra smashed into the Raikage before he could even move. That sent him sailing through the window as he smashed down into the darkness. "Let's go," she said, as she jumped through the window. As Naruto and Zabuza followed her, Killer B tried to follow, but Kakashi slammed his lightning-covered hand in the ground, forcing Killer B to jump away from the lightning strikes. "I'm sorry, but your opponent's gonna be us, I'm afraid." "I see," said B. "Then let's do this." As he removed all 7 of his blades, as he grabbed every single one of them. "Get ready. He's coming," said Samui, as B shot off the ground. Meanwhile, Naruto flipped as he landed with a crunch. He still felt the shock of jumping from so far. Zabuza took the easy way as he ran down the building. "You and that chick are goddamn crazy. Who jumped from a 200-meter mountain?" "This guy," said Naruto as he pointed himself. As the place then shook violently. Zabuza looked up. Wow. As Akane and A were duked it out with that incredible fist fight. Their strikes were so fast their limbs looked like blurs. And each time they attacked or block an attack, they would create a detonation in the air. As Akane met him punch for punch. "Let's not stand around watching," Naruto said. "Our goal is to subdue the Raikage so she can break the genjutsu." "Right," Zabuza says. He removed his blade. "Can't let your woman have all the fun." As Naruto shot forward and spin around that kick, the Raikage blocked Naruto's attack and blocked Akane's strike as well. But Naruto was not one to be outdone that easy as he brought down his nether leg. But the Raikage blocked it, forced him to use his 2 hands. That made Naruto smirk as Akane drive a fist into his gut. The Raikage was sent sailing where Zabuza was waiting. Before Zabuza could hit his target, lightning exploded from Ace's body like a thunderstorm. Several volts lashed out at Zabuza, who was forced to use substitution jutsu. As the Raikage regained his bearings, as Zabuza appeared beside Akane and Naruto, Ace's body became wrapped in a layer of lightning. His ear also became spiky. If I'm not mistaken, this is his lightning Ryoi. Increasing his physical attribute, especially speed. That kind of sounds bad, said Zabuza. "Yes it is," said Naruto. "Akane, give me some time," Naruto said, as she nodded and dashed forward towards the Raikage, as Naruto started to transform. As Akane released her tails and created massive claws of chakra, as she started to clash through the Raikage. The Raikage didn't back down though, as he smashed his fist into the claws, but not destroying them, forcing them away. They were merely a distraction while he was dealing with their claws. She sent several of her tails to attack him from below, as he dodged each and every one of her tail swipes. "Damn, I'm feeling a bit outclassed here. Also, it's just me. Or is that woman using the Kyuubi's chakra?" "Well, she is the Kyuubi," said Naruto. "Sorry, I forgot to tell you that." "What?" But Naruto couldn't answer that question, as an explosion of purple chakra exploded from his body, forcing Zabuza to move back. As his nails grew longer, his whisker marks grew thicker, his hair became longer. "Holy shit," said Zabuza. "What the hell are you, brat?" "That's a good question," Naruto said, his voice sounding deep and dark. "I'm not really sure myself, but Akane, and I call it a Henyu." "A half-demon?" Zabuza said. "You certainly look like a half-demon." "Akane and I are going to engage Raikage. We're going to weaken him. When we do, use your knowledge of vital points to knock a crippling blow that will knock him out cold. So in the end, I'm barely doing anything," said Zabuza, as he stabbed his blade in the ground. "Well fine, this is your mission, after all. I am interested to see how this fight will go." "Well then, I hope we don't disappoint you," Naruto said as he blinked away. Pure raw speed. Meanwhile, Akane and A were fighting. Now that they were using chakra to enhance their, punches, it became more destructive. Every time they fists clashed, the ground would split open like a ripe fruit, and the air would even explode out. Each time one of them landed a blow, the other would fly backwards and land a blow in a huge building, a giant hole. Their fight was clearly getting out of hand. As Naruto dropped from the sky like a meteor, the Raikage brought up his defense as he blocked Naruto's attack. But the force was much more powerful. The ground exploded under the Raikage, sending him a bit underground. As Naruto flipped off of a forearm and landed, as Akane jumped back as well. "Holding back this much is a lot harder than I expected," said Akane. "I'm doing my best not to cause too much damage to the village or this man, but several of the buildings have already collapsed due to your fight. That was unnecessary destruction. I guess we just have to weather his attacks until he uses up all of his chakra." "That's such a pain," she said. As the Raikage shot forward, Naruto shot forward as well, as the both of them met in the center as they collided with a boom. The two tremendous force cutting off each other from going anywhere. The both of their hands lock, using immense strength to try to push back each other as the Raikage lightning cackle around him even more. Akane appeared right behind the Raikage as Naruto's holding on to both of his arms. She kicked away his legs as Naruto used a chance to throw him right up in the air as Akane fired off a blast that smashed into him. As his body was sent soaring and smashed through several buildings, creating a massive crater. Did I get him, she asked. Not even a second later, the Raikage burst out of the dust cloud and flew towards them. I don't think I need to answer that, said Naruto, as him and Akane split apart. As the man rushed towards Akane first, thinking that she was the bigger threat. Well, she was. As Naruto rushed behind the Raikage's spin and blocked Naruto's attack as Akane came around a spinning kick, which he blocked as well. But Naruto used that momentum and grabbed onto the man's hand and flip, as Akane then spin kick him right in the chest. We're gonna get into so much trouble for this, said Naruto, as the man was yet again sailing through another building. It's his own goddamn fault for getting caught in a genjutsu, said Akane. Oh look, he's coming back, she said, as the Raikage dashed towards them. As Naruto and Akane split apart again as the Raikage chose Akane, as he started to clash with her violently. So far, Naruto and Akane hasn't used any of their more destructive jutsus yet, but the Raikage didn't seem to care about that, as he sent a backhanded chop at Akane. The attack threw her back because of the force behind it, as he rushed after her, but Naruto was already there. Engaged in the hand-to-hand combat, both of them stood in place as they attacked each other with a series of lightning-fast punch and kicks. As the Raikage was running out of chakra, he couldn't keep this up forever. The next moment Akane appeared, forcing the Raikage into a two-way battle. As the Raikage started to backpedal as he tried to evade their attacks, he was getting weaker. But they kept the pressure up as they clashed and started to beat the absolute crap out of him. As the both of them smashed a double fist right into his chest, the lightning armor around him dissipated. A wobbled on his legs. And in that short of second, several needles pierced into his back. As the man collapsed over, behind him was Zabuza. You know, I really feel like I was just a spectator here, said Zabuza. Given the difference in your affinities and your abilities, you are at a disadvantage. And besides, we don't have any experience working with you. It could have only added more chaos to the fight. Whatever. So what now? Well, now we... Several dozen Kumo ninjas landed all around them before Naruto could finish saying what he was about to say. They were all armed to the teeth. This is just not my day, said Naruto. Meanwhile, after a destructive battle, as Kakashi locked eyes with Killer Bee, his Mangita Sharingan, both of them locking together, as Darui and Samui had bided him enough time so he can do this. Killer Bee then came to a sudden stop. The red chakra around him suddenly dissipate, as Kakashi was able to override the genjutsu with his own. Luckily, it was not a Mangita technique, which it would have been, well, impossible for him to break. But this one was not, so he was able to break the genjutsu. As Bee stood there, he blinked several times as he looked around. Yo, you guys helped me broke free from the mind control, you fools. I'm grateful, yo. That genjutsu was hateful. I was just minding my own business when that fool looked me in the eyes and everything went hazy like crazy. I'm sure, said Kakashi. Guys, we have some trouble, said Samui as she looked over. It seems that Naruto and his team are surrounded by Kumo ninjas. Let's go rescue them then. Hey, we could use your help to smooth things over. Worry not, brother of my brother. I got your back, yo. Time skip, the situation was resolved, with Killer Bee explaining to the ninjas. Because of the circumstances surrounding what happened, Naruto and squad was asked to remain in Kumo for the time being. Regardless of the situation and the circumstances, these people walk in their village and defeat their Raikage. So everyone gave him a rather wide berth. But Naruto was friends with Bee, who decided to stick around. That helped ease out some of the tension. The Raikage remained asleep for most of the first day. He didn't wake up until the morning of the second. Naruto and Killer Bee had gotten the call while they were trying to come up with some rocks. As they got to the hospital room where A was, as he was sitting in the bed, but he was also doing some curls with a barbell that looked like it weighed a ton. Everyone who took part in the operation was already inside. I'm glad that you're all here, the Raikage said as he put the barbell down, as he placed hands on his knees. It seems I have caused you all a lot of trouble. However, all of you saved my village, even when it looked like I turned against you. You have my thanks. We were glad to help, said Naruto. While we were happy to be of assistance, I hope we can learn more about the person that did this, said Kakashi. I don't think the face I saw was his real face. That said, he had the Sharingan. I remember you said that Sasuke, the effect to the hidden sound, which led me to believe that the one that cast the genjutsu over me was none other than Orochimaru. If that is true, then it means Orochimaru took over Sasuke's body. Sasuke was not his friend, but he still sucked to hear this. Probably said A. As Naruto glanced at Kakashi, whose single visible eye had welled up with guilt as he looked away. But the others were worried as well. Orochimaru was an S-rank ninja without the Sharingan. There was no telling how powerful you'd become if you really had it now. We'll be returning to Konoha soon, if what you said is true. We can't afford to remain here. We need to warn the Hokage. I understand, the Raikage said. I will send a messenger bird ahead of you, letting Sandy know what's happening. I'll also issue the order immediately for our forces to withdraw from Ainokune. Actually, I was hoping to ask for your assistance in repelling the Eden Stone. It seems they have also invaded our borders, which I assume that is Orochimaru doing as well. Consider it done, Ace said, without taking a moment to consider response. After the trouble we have caused you, this is the least my village can do to repay you. As Naruto let Kakashi hash out detail Raikage, as A wrote down everything on the scroll and sealed it, with the Raikage stamp on it, the orders was for Kumo army to march and help the Konoha ninja face off against the Hidden Stone. Yujito would not be traveling with Rui and the others. At Naruto's request, she will be heading back to Konoha with him, as A still needed to recover from his battle against Naruto Nakani, so he was still in the hospital. As they were leaving, the window suddenly cracked. Oh yeah, said Naruto. That wasn't ominous at all. He said in a sarcastic tone. He wasn't one to believe in omen, but that was just strange. As they stepped outside, Ritty began their journey back to Konoha. Time skip, Orochimaru could not keep the smile off his face, as he was in the forest, at least 100 meters away from Konoha gates. By this time, a good portion of the ninjas were out, and a large portion were facing off against the stone ninjas. The rest were battling against Kumo, including the brat Naruto Uzumaki. Finally, after all this time, he would tie up one of the last loose end that he had. That old man was going to regret betraying him. A shadow suddenly appeared beside him, breaking from his musings. His eternal monkey to spin as he turned to face the young man. Lord Orochimaru, all for sleeper agents are in place and are waiting for my command. Shall I give the order? Go ahead, Orochimaru said. Kabuto made a single hand sign and search of chakra encapsulate him. Nothing seemed to happen, but he let the seal go and nodded to Orochimaru. It's done. I imagine that Konoha is about to break into chaos very soon. Good. This should be excited. As Orochimaru turned to face the ninjas surrounding him, there are about 100 in total. However, this small force is all he needed right now. There should be just a handful of Jonin and Chunin left in the village right now. Ishide, Karabana, Kanko, Orochimaru said. Take your forces in and kill everything that moves. With pleasure, the three of them said. The 100 strong rushed forward towards the village of Konoha. Many of them scaled the walls, but a few of them traveled towards the gates. Once they got inside, their job was to wreak havoc. Are you sure 100 ninjas is enough to defeat Konoha? Kabuto asked. Maybe not in normal circumstances, said Orochimaru with a laugh. However, the vast majority of ninjas are away, dealing with the stone and Kumo. There are at least 20 Jonin and 30 Chunin left. The rest are just Genins. All of the ninjas I brought are Chunin and Jonin. They may still outnumber us, but our forces are not weaker than theirs. Besides, if I find myself in need of more forces, I can always unleash my trump card. What do you have me do? Asked Kabuto. Why don't you stay here and enjoy the show? Kabuto didn't seem like he wanted to sit this battle out, as he seemed rather, well, a bit angry and sad, which caused Orochimaru to chuckle. He liked to tease his subordinate. Meanwhile, Tsunade was first alerted to the trouble when several explosions ripped through the village. She was doing the paperwork when it happened, as she spun around in her chair when the explosion went off. As she saw massive plumes of fire and smoke rise in the air, her eyes widened. The place where the explosion went off was Konoha. Underground bunkers where civilians were supposed to head when battle started, or invasion. Before she could even get her head on straight, the door opened and the Chunin rushed in the room. Lady Hokage were under attack. By who? Our own forces. What? She said. She exited Hokage Tower quickly and stepped onto the streets. The scent of blood was in the air a lot. Everywhere she looked, there were corpses or ninjas fighting. Fire, water, wind, everything was being launched. As they were wearing Konoha headbands. The ninjas that were fighting were wearing Konoha headbands. It was their own people that were fighting. Why? Head over to the hospital and tell Shizune to get ready. A squad of medical ninjas. After that, tell Inuichi to find me. The Chunin nodded and rushed off to follow her orders. Without knowing why they were attacking, she couldn't outright kill them, as she remembered what Inuichi had found in the corpse. Acting quickly, she rushed towards the nearest group of battling ninja. There were two Genins fighting each other, as the boy was asking the young girl why she betrayed him, with tears in his eyes. The girl did not say anything, she just attacked him and forced him back. Tsunade appeared behind the girl and sent a burst of chocolate through her body. The girl jolted before collapsing down. Get her to the hospital now, she said to the boy. He nodded as he picked up the girl and jumped off with her. as Nande started to spring around, knocking out the ones that seemed to be sleeper agents, and letting the others bring them to the hospital. Lady Hokage, as Inoichi landed beside her. It seemed like several sleeper agents had awakened and is wreaking havoc on our forces, I know, Inoichi said. I was forced to fight against several of them coming here. Can you undo what happened to them? Inoichi hesitated. That would depend whether or not they were originally loyal to Konoha. I can't do anything for anyone who's always been a sleeper agent. Yes, Lady Snazzy. As with that he jumped off. Meanwhile, Orochimaru stepped inside. A wicked grin on his face. Finally seeing the place that he wanted to destroy for so long on fire. As he looked around all the chaos. As he tried to sense out her chakra. He wanted to see the look on her face when she see him. As he made his way. But guys, if you end the episode right here, for the next part of this, or know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, turn bell notifications to be posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.